Hello everyone, mathchick here. In this video, I will talk about how to factor and solve polynomials. Let's start by working through this problem. 1, we have x squared plus 3x plus 2. So first, we've got to set the polynomial equal to 0. So we got to set this whole thing equal to 0. Okay? Equal to 0. Okay, in the next step, we have to try to find factors. So we have to try to find factors that are multiplied to 2 and add up to 3. So we have 2 and 1. Adding those will equal to 3. And then multiplying 2 times 1 is equal to 2. So we may have our factors here. So what I like to do is I already put parentheses in. We're just basically reversing the distributive property. So I like to put if there's only three terms in the polynomial, I know that it's going to be distributed into 2 sections. So that's why I put the parentheses. So x times x is going to be x squared. So these two are going to these two spots are going to just be x and x. So for our next one, well, we look at the signs. If this one's positive and this one's positive, well, we know that both of these are going to be positive if both of these signs are positive. And then we put our numbers in there, 1 and 2. So let's go ahead and recheck our answer. So if you're not sure of what signs are needed, like say you just have different signs, you can check the factored out portion by distributing. Just reverse the process. So you're basically distributing this back into these terms. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. So that goes with that, that goes with that, that goes with that, and that goes with that. Okay, so we have x squared, so we're doing x times x is x squared, and we're doing x times 2 is 2x. Then we're doing 1x times 1 times x, which is 1x. And then 1 times 2 is 2. So then 2x plus 1x is 3x. Okay, so these terms should match up with these terms. Okay, so x squared plus 3x plus 2. So we know that checks out. So this is the correct factored form. So let's continue trying to find the x's of these terms. So we have to separate the 2 parentheses, set them equal to 0, and solve for x. We have x plus 1 is equal to 0, and x plus 2 is equal to 0. Okay, so now we subtract, we're just finding x now. So we have to subtract the 1. This will cancel out, so we have x is equal to negative 1. And then you also subtract the negative 2, which is x is equal to negative 2. So then these two, x is equal to negative 1 and x is equal to negative 2 would be our answers. Okay, now that we have gone through one problem, let's go through some more practice problems. Okay. We have the second problem, a squared minus 2a minus 35 is equal to 0. Okay, so we already set it equal to 0. So now we have to find what multiplies to negative 35 and what adds up to negative 2. Okay, so we put our a's down here for our a squared. Now, notice we have two negative signs. Two negative signs, one here, one here. Okay, so we don't know exactly what signs we need off the bat. Let's find our numbers and then we'll go back to that. Alright, so we have 7 and 5. So 7 times 5 is 35. Or 7 minus 5 is going to be 2. So we could use that as well. So let's go ahead and put these in here. 7, 5. Since this one is going to be is 35, it's a bigger number, we're going to put the negative on the bigger number and then positive on the smaller number. Let's see if this works out. We double check our work. So we have a squared, which is this a times a, is a squared, and then a times 5 is 5a. Then we have negative 7 times a is negative 7a. Then we have negative 7 times 5, which is negative 35. Okay. So now all we have to do is just combine our like terms. So we have a squared, then we have 5 minus 7 is negative 2a. It goes down because the higher number is a negative. So then we have a squared minus 2a minus 35. And this answer is going to check because it is the same as our original polynomial. We're trying to find what a is. So we have a minus 7 is equal to 0. A plus 5 is equal to 0. Okay, so now all we're doing is solving for a. So since that's a negative, we're going to add it to make that cancel out. Then we have to do it to the other side. So this cancels, leaving a equal to 7, which is one of our answers. And then we subtract 5 from either side, which gives us, that one cancels, which gives us negative 5 for a as well. 7 and negative 5 are going to be our answers. let's move on to problem 3. So in problem 3, we have b squared plus 8b plus 16 is equal to 0. So now we put our parentheses in, set it equal to 0. Okay, so now we're using the variable b. So we have b for both sides of the parenthesis to make it b squared. Okay, both our signs are positive, so both signs are going to be positive in our parentheses. Now we have to find something that is multiplied to 16 and is added up to 8. So we have to find those factors. 4 plus 4 is going to equal 8. 4 times 4 is going to equal 16. Well, that's both of our coefficients on these two. So that could work. So we'll put 4 here and 4 here. Let's double check to make sure it's right. Alright, so we have b squared, which is b times b. Okay, b times 4 is 4b. Then you have 4 times b, which is 4b. And then 4 times 4, which is 16. Okay, so we have b squared plus 4b plus 4b plus 16. Well, we take the like terms of 4b and 4b and combine them. So 4b plus 4b is going to be 8b plus 16. We just rewrite the other stuff in. We've already figured that out. Okay, so we have b squared plus 8b plus 16. Okay, so let's check to see if that gives us our original polynomial, which it does. So our check, that checks that off. So now we can set both of these sections equal to 0 and solve for b. So we have b plus 4 is equal to 0, and b plus 4 is equal to 0. Now we're just solving for b, so we're getting b by itself. So we're subtracting 4 on either side, which gives us b is equal to -4. And then we're also subtracting 4 on either side on this one. That cancels out. B is equal to -4. So for our answers, we have b is equal to -4 and b is equal to -4. Alright, for our next problem, we have b squared plus 7b minus 8. So I encourage you to pause this video and see if you can do this one by yourself. And then unpause it when you think you've got it to check your answer. Alright, let's go ahead and solve this. So we're setting it equal to 0. Okay, we're putting our parentheses, setting that equal to 0. Okay, so for our b squared, we have b times b. Okay, so now, let's see, so we have different signs, so let's leave that for now. We're not really sure. We need to get a factor that is multiplied to -8 and added to 7. Okay, so let's start with 8 and 1. Alright, so 8 minus 1 is going to be 7, and 8 times 1 is going to be 8. So that could work. We might can make that work with the signs. Okay, so we have 8 and 1. Alright, since this last term is going to be negative, we put, but this is going to be positive. So let's try that. Some of this might be trial and error on the signs, but let's see if this works. So we have b squared. B times b is b squared. B times -1 is -1b. 8 times b is going to be 8b. And then 8 times -1 is going to be -8. Well, we already have -8. Okay, so now we're just combining like terms. So -1 plus 8 is going to be positive 7. So we have 7b, then we just add the other one. So b squared plus 7b minus 8. Well, does that match our original term? Yes, it does. So we can check that off. So now we set these two sections equal to 0 and solve for b. So we have b plus 8 is equal to 0, and b minus 1 is equal to 0. Let's start with this one. So to get b by itself, you subtract 8 from either side, which cancels that out. B is equal to -8. You get b by itself on here, so you're adding 1 to either side, which leaves, cancels that out. B is going to be equal to +1. Okay, so our answers are going to be b is equal to -8 and b is equal to 1. Let's do another problem. So let's go to 5. So we have a squared minus 15a plus 36. We'll set this equal to 0. I encourage you to pause this video to see if you're able to do this on your own, and then unpause when you think you've got it and want to check your answer. Alright, let's go ahead and solve this polynomial. So notice that 15a has a negative attached to it. 36 is positive. Okay, so if the middle term is negative, the factored signs below will also both be negative. Let's do our parentheses and then see if we can factor this out. So we have a times a, which gives us a squared. We're going to see what is multiplied to get 36 and added to get -15. So let's start with 12 plus 3. Well, so that's going to be 15. Okay, well, 12 times 3 is going to be 36. So let's see if we can make those work. So like I said, both of these terms are going to be negative because our middle term is negative. Okay, so now we put 3 in this one, 12 in this one. Okay, that looks better. So let's go ahead and check this. So a squared, and then a times negative 12, so negative 12a. Negative 3 times a is negative 3a. And then negative 3 times negative 12 is a positive 36. Okay, so let's combine like terms, which makes this a negative 15a plus 36, and then a squared. So does this term match this term? Looks like it does. So we can continue solving for a. So we have a minus 3 is equal to 0. A minus 12 is equal to 0. So we try to get a by itself, so we add 3 to either side of this one, which gives us a is equal to 3. And then we'll do the same on this one. We're getting a by itself, so we're adding 12 on either side to make that cancel out. So a is equal to 12. So our answers are going to be a is equal to 12, a is equal to 3. Alright, this will be our last and final problem that we're going to do today. So this one's a little different. So what do you notice on this one? There's a number here, right? So if this happens, all you have to do is you add that number or subtract depending on what this sign is. So in this case, we add it because this has to cancel out. This, after the equal sign, has to be 0. So that's going to be 0. So we'll have x squared minus, you're adding it to this side as well, x squared minus 12x plus 11. Okay, so this is going to be your new term, the term that you're going to work off of. So we have our parentheses, set it equal to 0. So we have x squared, so we'll have x here and x here. Our middle term is negative, so we know that both of these are going to be negative. So all we have to find is the factors. So what is multiplied to 11 and is added to negative 12? So we have, let's start with 1 and 11. So 1 plus 11 is going to equal 12. 1 times 11 is going to be 11. So let's see if that works. We have 1, 11. Okay, now let's check the factored portion to make sure that we got the correct factors. So we have x times x, which is x squared. We have x times negative 11, which is negative 11x. We have negative 1x, which is negative 1x. And then we have negative 1 times negative 11, which is positive 11. Okay, now we need to combine like terms. So let's go ahead and add the x squared. Okay, so negative 11 minus negative 1 is going to be negative 12x. Then we add the 11 at the end. Okay, so does this polynomial the same as this polynomial? Yes, it is. So it checks out. Okay, so we continue with our factored portions. So we've got to set each section equal to 0. So we have x minus 1 is equal to 0, x minus 11 equal to 0. So for this one, we add 1 to either side because we're trying to get x by itself. So then we have x is equal to positive 1. And over here, we add 11 to either side because, again, we're trying to get x by itself. These cancel out. The negative 11 and positive 11 cancel out. And then it's x equals 11. So x equals 11 is our answer, as well as x equals 1. Okay? If you have any requests on what you want uploaded, or if you have something that you're having trouble with, feel free to email me with requests. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe to see more of my content if you found this video useful. See you next time. Bye!